Healthy Rebel Radio is sponsored by the Healthy Rebel app. 300 plus secretly healthy, delicious, mouth-watering dessert and treat recipes made with all-natural, whole food ingredients. Now available for download on the App Store and Google Play. Find out more details at healthyrebel.com.
Welcome to Healthy Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Dr. David Deiser. I'm here with my Damie Health Healthy Rebel co-founder, Amy Lane. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy International Women's Day.
Thank you.
What a great day.
Is it a holiday?
I don't think.
Oh. You let me
Just
know
an
when
acknowledgement,
it is.
yeah. We're recording this episode on March 8th, International Women's Day. Mm-hmm. And so many great stories to talk about this morning regarding women's health. And I think you'll be interested in everything that we're going through here today.
Wonderful.
So the first one is from a magazine and a blog that I follow called Fast Company. And it's about why are millennial women burning out quicker than their male counterparts. And when we talk about burnout, we're talking about burnout in business. And I think the answer is quite obvious, but it needs to be written about, it needs to be brought up, and it needs to be acknowledged.
Okay.
Do you agree with that?
Do I think that millennial women, are burning out faster than millennial men?
Well, they're using studies that are showing that women are not going for higher executive jobs. They're not trying to move up in management.
I don't think they're... Oh, so you're not saying burnout.
I'm saying physical burnout. That in studies of large companies, women are reporting levels of burnout at levels quite higher than men.
So what's it have to do with moving up? How did they go into that?
Well, this one blog then cites stats about women in higher levels of companies. And obviously there's other debates to be had about this.
Okay, well, I'd say two things. I think women would tend to be more honest. I think that... Definitely.
That's something I didn't consider.
On a survey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just think about that. If you and I right now did a survey as to what we went through while you... The 6 years of your education process, getting out of the military, that whole thing. Mm-hmm. You definitely would be like, it was hard, but we made it. I would go into
right.
What happened. I cried at least 3 to 4 times a week. I, felt uncomfortable physically in my body. I was hopeless. I had adrenal fatigue. You would never even remember that you had gained like 50 pounds or that, what you went through, or how hard, you know what I mean? You would...
Exactly.
So I think there's that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's also, the way that men and women are raised. Like, men are raised like you're weak if you admit there's weakness. Mm-hmm. And I think women, when we're being honest, I mean, in a lot of these situations, I think a lot of women are forced to pretend there's nothing wrong, mm-hmm. or that it's all good. But I think, if we were given a survey, we would be honest, because we believe in, like, furthering, we always, no matter what, have that intrinsic thing that we're trying to, like, help the next generation, or I think that's just a natural thing as a woman. It is.
It's inherent. It's evolutionary.
Right. That's, we feel it, and whether we recognize it or not. So I think that's one element here that I can see fault. Mm-hmm. The next thing is, it's like asking any minority if they feel more burnout. I would say yes, because we have to try 10 times harder to be just equal to a millennial white male.
For sure. That's absolutely true. I think it more speaks to societal norms around what women need to be doing or feel they need to be doing at the ages of 26 to 35.
Well, there's all kinds of different pressures.
Exactly.
There's way more pressure on women, period. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, everyone jokes about, successful men that, don't dress well, or that you'd never know they're wealthy, or blah, 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 blah. Women have to be, now a fitness model, a yoga queen, a raw food vegan chef, plus be excellent in business, plus be a really great friend. Plus, then you have to start considering, when the clock is ticking, when are you going to have these kids? Or are you going to freeze your eggs? Or are you going to adopt? There's just way more pressure.
Oh, definitely. In today's business landscape, you're expected to take your work everywhere with you. It's all the time. It's on your phone. It's checking emails. It's being present.
But you're still expected to be all those things. Like, I remember when we were starting our business and I was just like, I just don't have time to socialize. Like, I don't have this. I don't have time to be a great friend right now. I literally lost friends because they were just like, why can't you sit around and drink wine with us? Why can't you sit on the phone and talk for hours about what, and I couldn't. It sucked. But that's the reality. I couldn't. But you can't tell me, like, you have friends. You guys didn't talk for like 3 years in university because you all were so busy. One was becoming a lawyer. One was becoming a principal. One was becoming a chiropractor. And you were becoming a naturopathic doctor. None of you ever told each other off. You all understood. Mm-hmm. It's not the same for women.
No, it's not.
It's not fair.
So
we
true.
hold each other to these standards of you have to be there for me and you have to be this great friend and we have to be able to, or we don't hold our bond. It's silly. It's stupid. It should be this thing. Like, if you love someone, you should understand that sometimes it takes more to become certain things. Mm-hmm. So I think that would cause burnout. It definitely added stress to my life because I felt so much guilt that I was being such a crappy friend and that I was going to lose all these relationships because I had to survive.
This is a layer I didn't even think of. I did not consider.
See, you don't even.
I did not consider that at all.
But you know what I mean, because you've never had to face it. When you were in school, you never had to face. First of all, you're in the health field, and you totally put your health on the back burner, because you were like, okay, this is a sacrifice. I can gain weight, but I know I can take it off. Not a big deal. That doesn't happen for women.
No.
If a woman does do it, it psychologically tortures her in most cases. Mm-hmm. The friendship thing, you never had to. And you didn't think about your clock ticking. Yeah, having children.
None of that is a concern. It's so much easier to be a man. It's not even. Yeah. Not even close.
So, do I find that study surprising? Well, of course not.
No. So, how do we get beyond these societal pressures? How do we prevent?
It's not going to happen in my lifetime. I'd like it to happen in my children's lifetime.
Yeah. I think there is we were talking the other day about men becoming feminists. Mm-hmm. And that redefining that term. Mm-hmm. And then I think that's the first step really in separating gender roles and making it more balanced. Because in today's current climate where both parties have to work and should be, I mean, people should be following their passion no matter what gender you are, it doesn't matter. That it just means that gender roles needs to fade away and everything needs to be more balanced. Mm-hmm. And eventually it will happen.
Mm-hmm. I think it should be more like about individuals, not about sex. Mm-hmm. So if you want to be a stay-at-home mom or if you want to be a stay-at-home dad, I think that should be just, if your family can afford that, that's what, and you're the one that would be best to suit that role. I think that should be... Yeah,
it should be a choice.
The sex stuff should go. It should just be life choices, no matter what your sex is. Mm-hmm.
Yes, definitely. Same thing if you like to cook or you're a good cook, or I mean, if both of you are a good cook, then both of you cook. I mean, in our household, I mean, it's been an issue. I don't make food.
No.
And this has been a gender role that I don't know if it's just something I intrinsically followed because I've never had any interest in making food. Mm-hmm. The food has always been made for. It's kind of sad to say out loud, mm-hmm. but it's true. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's probably happening in households all over the place, mm-hmm. where men just expect there to be food on the table and expect the house to be clean even.
Oh, yeah. I think that's one that's changing. I mean, I hear a lot of the time, like I have a lot of clients that they don't cook, their men do the cooking. Yeah. So they need me to send them ideas that they pass on to their husbands. So, I mean, I think that's an area that's changing. Where we come from the East Coast, that wouldn't be that popular. Mm-hmm. It's a very conservative... nuclear family norms, like don't step outside this type place. So I think that was normal.
Right.
But the one thing that we set as a rule before we got married, like I think this speaks to having real conversations before you get married, is I said, if you expect me to be the cook, like for you to live by my cooking, this isn't going to work. Mm-hmm. And I cook, but if you expect it, I wouldn't do it.
It's a very fine line.
It's a very fine line.
Oh, yeah.
And you know that. If you get like, oh, what are we having, whatever, and I've worked all day and I'm tired and I've got things to do, whatever, I'm just like, figure it out. Right. And I feel zero guilt about it.
Oh, yeah, as you should.
Because I didn't come into this marriage like, okay, I'm going to be the cook, I'm going to clean the... I told you. Mm-hmm. So there's no surprise here. As soon as you start expecting anything.
Oh, agreed. I mean, that's important. So in terms of breaking down societal norms at home, that's part of it.
Right, and it's about having kind conversations. Like, we make it sound like
we make it sound like a joke.
But
if I sit at the table, food will arrive. if I say, when's the food coming, the food will not arrive.
No, but we do have discussions about it, and we did before we got married.
Absolutely.
It wasn't a surprise. But yeah, it's a fine line. Honestly,
it really is. It really is.
And I think everyone has to. And some women love to cook, and they love doing that and being, and they don't find it like a burden or a gender role. And also, there's nothing wrong with that. That's what I want to bring up about like the thing about being a feminist. You don't have to turn into anything. You be exactly what feels right, as long as your motivations are what you want to do and not pressures from outside or pressures, to keep a man or pressures to keep up with women. Like my sister, she adores cooking. Like, it's her thing.
Right.
Like, she loves it. She could be a chef if she wanted to. Like, she's an excellent cook. She loves the ritual of it. She loves fresh ingredients. She loves, searching, trying. And there's no way that it's a societal pressure for her.
No, for sure.
For sure.
The other side of this is finding balance. And we talk about this all the time, not taking work home with you and having a separate work life.
Yeah, that's really easy to say.
It's very easy to say, and I'm sure it's quite difficult. I know, so we know how difficult it is for an entrepreneur. Yes. Because 24/7, if you're not contributing to your business, you tend to feel like you're falling behind. Yeah. It's probably the same thing, and maybe even to a certain degree when you're being watched by someone in a company.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a girlfriend that's in the corporate world, and I don't think she thinks less or does less than what I do as an entrepreneur.
No.
Like, she's on the hustle 24/7.
Yeah.
And she feels that she has to be, at everyone's disposal more.
Right.
And I'm sure that her male counterparts don't feel the same amount of like, well, if I just always have my phone on, if I answer these calls on a Saturday night, if I go in on a Sunday. I mean, if you're on the grind and like you're serious about moving up, I mean, males definitely do that as well. But I think that there's that added thing where it's like, well, this could be my ticket.
Right, this could set me apart.
Yeah.
So I need to do this.
Yeah, because otherwise, why wouldn't they pick the...
Mm-hmm. And I know that a lot of companies are trying to make moves where, you don't look at your email or you don't respond to things after a certain time at night. And companies, certain progressive companies are really trying to prevent this because in order to have a happy, healthy life, you need to have work-life balance.
I think in order to bring good to your work, you need to shut it off. You need the shutdown. I know for myself, but it's hard to say because, when I was killing myself, it's easy to make money.
Right.
And I was killing myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really hard universal lesson.
Yeah. For sure.
Even to teach myself.
Right.
When it feels like that formula really does work.
Definitely. Yeah, that's hard in the head.
But you're miserable, but you got the cash.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So it's tricky. It's a hard lesson.
Well, I think with the way that natural health is moving forward and this concept of mind-body wellness is moving forward and then societal norms are beginning to break down, I know that's going to take a long time. Mm-hmm. I feel like things will come together eventually.
Yeah, I hope so. As long as there's people that keep moving forward and, these brave women that just keep seeing the hypocrisy out there and just keep pushing forward. And I think pushing forward in a kind way. Yeah. I think, just pushing forward in a way that enlightens.
Yes. Yeah.
Wakes people up to the issues.
Yeah. I think so too. Let's move on to study number 2 with regards to women and International Women's Day, keeping the theme going. This one is about makeup, toxic products, toxic shampoos, toxic soaps, and their effect on the hormone system in females. Now, this is a recent study that just came out, and it was only 100 or 150 people. But what they did was they reduced these young women's exposures for, 3 days to certain makeups, certain kitchen chemicals that all have been known to be hormone disruptors.
Okay.
We're talking about phthalates, parabens, triclosan, and oxybenzone. Those were some of the chemicals that they measured.
Okay.
They put everyone on either no chemicals or just natural alternatives that don't have these products for 3 days.
Okay.
And track their urine before and after. The urine afterwards, statistically significant in all cases to have these products removed from the body. Only after 3 days of avoidance.
Oh my gosh.
So all 4 of the things I just mentioned, these long scientific terms, phthalates, parabens, triclosan, oxybenzone, these are chemicals that come from certain cosmetics, fragrances, hair products, soaps and sunscreens, kitchen products, detergents, that have been known to be hormone disruptors. We're talking estrogen, progesterone, disruption in the body, which then has negative consequences down the road. It only takes 3 days of avoidance to have statistically significant removal from the body.
Wow.
So really powerful to operate in avoidance, to adopt a holistic lifestyle, to make some choices that we had to make a long time ago.
Right.
When our eyes were open to it.
Right.
And we've really stuck with it.
Right. So what we did is we went through our shower, cabinets, cleaning supplies, and like our lifestyle maintenance things. So we only ever use natural, all natural, either unscented or essential oil scented laundry soap. We don't use any softener or anything like that. In our shower, we only use, again, all natural shampoos that are paraben free, chemical free, cruelty free, vegan products. Same with our soaps. And then things like body butter, I started making my own because it's so much less expensive and I can see exactly the raw ingredients I put in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think deodorant's huge for women. I finally found a natural deodorant that works for my body after so much trial and error.
That's so great.
Shampoos and like things like perfume, anything you put directly on your skin, makeup, like you have to be so careful. And same with cleaners because you're breathing that in. I mean, we use only natural cleaners, and most of the week I only use vinegar as the majority of the cleaner, and then once a week I'll use the natural spray cleaner. But even then I don't breathe that in.
No.
And I'm very careful about not putting anything on my skin or our skin.
Yeah, you've done a great job shaping the environment around here.
It really does change.
It does, and we know that it's very easy to have positive effects on the body by making the switch. This is proven stuff. It's not like parabens have been in the media for a long time. There's a reason for it.
I know.
It's quite significant, and it's most important in young females during reproductive years when these levels of estrogen and progesterone are so important to keep tightly regulated. It needs to be quite exact, and we know from huge studies that young women use more products than even adult women.
Oh, for sure.
So it's even more important.
Yeah, I think back to when I was young and just all the different cheap perfumes, and now with like the Bed Bath & Beyond, they'll get the body spray, they'll get the lotion, they'll get the soap, the body wash. It's all just chemical crap. I mean, I can't even walk by that store without choking now.
For sure, that's a terrible sign.
Or if we're in the elevator with someone that has, the strong stuff on, my nose will literally be stuffed up after they leave. That's a real indication that that's not good.
Yeah, agreed.
So
as a core component of a healthy lifestyle, these things, they need to be avoided.
Yeah, but it's really hard. I know with just my nephew, he is really cool. He's a cool kid.
Oh, is he ever?
And he's obsessed with the Axe commercials. So he's constantly swindling grandparents to buy him Axe shampoo, Axe body wash, and Axe deodorant. And my sister and his mother, are constantly in a fight with this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because he wants to smell like this, and this is what the cool guys wear, and he sees them on the commercials of all the sports that he loves, and you have to be a real man, and this is how you're a real man, and she just can't handle the chemicals on his body, so she's constantly throwing this stuff out, and he's constantly finding ways to, and I mean, he's only 11.
Yeah.
Finding ways to re-get this stuff, and it's really hard.
I know.
Because she's like, it's a battle.
Yeah. And he thinks he's so cool.
Well, and he's being told on commercials, and the commercials, unfortunately, are targeted towards him.
Yeah, it's true.
It sucks.
Oh, yeah, and I can just imagine how this impacts young women.
Oh,
especially with the current media situation. It doesn't surprise me that they're consuming so many products.
Oh, yeah.
Anyhow, hormone disruptors, we can reduce them. Yeah. It only takes 3 days to get started. start making the switch. I mean, you did your makeup switch a long time ago.
Yeah, I did. And now I still have some things that I only use once in a while. Mm-hmm. And even when I do, I don't feel great about it. But it's that thing where you think in your mind, I spent a lot of money on this. Yeah. But, so I kind of keep it. I don't know. I'm still working on that guilt.
Yeah, it's not perfection, but my goodness, it doesn't take very long to actually clear these from the body. If your liver if your liver, bowel...
And what I was going to say is the everyday things that I put on my skin are all organic, chemical-free, yes. Natural-driven, and cruelty-free. I think is really important. I think we should all really make an effort, even if you're still going... Even if you go to Sephora, there are brands there now that are, paraben-free, chemical-free, and cruelty-free. Mm-hmm. And I really wish everyone would start asking. Because yes. I think the more we ask and the more that we kind of drive that question, the more it's going to push companies to be better. Yeah.
For sure. I mean, we're making changes in North America here with makeup testing on animals, but it's not being done everywhere in the world. So, I mean, these are great questions to ask.
Yeah. So it pushes it. Mm-hmm. Let's be cruelty-free. Let's not have things in our makeup that's going to hurt us. I mean, I don't think either of those things are too much to ask. No. I think those are just normal, basic things. I don't think my beauty should kill an animal. I don't think that my beauty should kill myself down the road. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. Agreed. The next story I want to bring up, this is really, really exciting new research being done in anxiety in women. And the differences in brain responses between men and women in anxiety. And very simple study that just came out. I mean, probably not simple to do, but measuring changes in the brains of difference between genders. Mm-hmm. And this was an animal study, which, I mean, we don't have to talk about every time we talk about animal studies, but we don't like animal studies. But for certain cases, I mean, we get a good idea of what the differences are between men and women, especially in this one. They're looking at brain changes in anxiety, neurotransmitters. Corticotropin releasing factor corticotropin releasing hormone CRH changes in women and men. So they think that this is an evolutionary change. Basically, what this hormone does, it's a hormone and a neurotransmitter. It tells the body to stay alert. And in women, when anxiety or fear or worry or things come up where they need to be alert, it is released in a higher level, and the body becomes more alert and becomes alert for longer. Mm-hmm. And we think that's because, evolutionary, women had to look out for the young. They had to be in charge. They had to be the most, they were the protector in that case. They kept things going. So, I mean, that's probably what happened.
And I'd say for ourselves as well.
Oh, for sure, but but women have always been, the protector of the family. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm not surprised, but from an evolutionary standpoint, it does happen. Women become more vigilant, and they're saying that the vigilance lasts longer than what it does in men.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
No. So basically, I mean, there's a higher reactivity to further anxiety or future anxiety mm-hmm. in women, and they're going to move on to assessing human levels later, and I assume it'll be similar. But it's very interesting. I mean, that there are changes, and this is going to shape the way that certain anti-anxiety drugs are made, because there's going to be differences in gender. Mm-hmm. Especially if we find out more changes that are different, and I don't know. I think it's very cool. It's very cool to know. Mm. So, this is fight or flight, sympathetic nervous system response, fear, doubt, and worry being associated with anxiety. And when these stimuli happen, we need to be alert, and women tend to be more alert.
One thing I do see, just generally, a general observation of what I've seen in my life, is women are trying to stay ahead of what could possibly be a problem. Yes. And men are kind of like, when the problem comes, I'll fix it.
That's a really good analysis, because that you see that all the time.
I mean, I've seen it so many times, just in small things, like when you would, for instance, in our relationship, when you had to go away for 3 weeks, when you had to go to sea, I would cry for the week leading up. And you'd be like, it's going to be okay. You're going to have fun by yourself. You're going to whatever. You're going to be great. I'd be like, yeah, but, I just can see how this is going to go. And it's going to be hard. And I'm going to miss you and whatever.
Right.
I'd cry for the week leading up. You'd be Mr. Tough Guy. the day you'd leave, I'd be fine. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to take advantage of my spare time. I'm going to, you know, I'm only going to eat raw food this week. And I'm going to, you know, do this. And I'm going to exercise more. And, you know, the sadness would be over. And that night, you'd call me and be like, okay, now I understand. It's going to be hard.
So true. That's absolutely true.
But I see that with genders all the time. Mm-hmm. It's so funny. Women are we're always trying to get out in front of it and protect and you know, make sure we can see, like, how's this going to play down the line? How's this going to affect our family? How's this going to affect...
Yes.
Isn't that funny?
That's really interesting.
That's just what I've observed. I mean, of course, everybody's different, but just in general, that's what I've observed.
Well, I mean, women report higher rates of anxiety and depression than men do.
And I think the other thing with that is that we admit it.
Yeah, the reports. Obviously, there's a reporting difference. You must
see that. Mm-hmm. That a man will describe to you that they're depressed or anxious, but then they'll be like, oh, I never thought of it as that. Yeah. I just thought this was my life.
Yeah, for sure. Like I thought this was normal. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely. Whereas women say, I'm anxious about these things.
I'm worried. My mind is racing. We're in tune with... Because we're trying to get out of it. We're trying to resolve it.
Exactly.
Men are kind of like, oh, I just thought this was a bad time. Yeah. You know?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. That's really interesting. Well, now we know the brain changes that happen when this alertness is stimulated. Like when this worry or this preparation that causes anxiety is happening. We know what changes are happening. So... It's important to know the difference, that this is a separate thing, and you know, you can stay centered in it. It's not a biological burden. Mm-hmm. It's a useful tool that we have had to have. Right. And now it needs to be honed. Yes. Right? It needs to be honed and used, you know, in preparation and in a positive way. Yeah, and the way that I try to hone it, that I twist it, because naturally, if I naturally let myself just go, I'm an anxious person. I rest at anxiety. So I'm constantly nurturing the other side of myself to keep that at bay. So how I've honed it is if I feel something coming up, I guide it as my intuition. And I nurture my intuition. What is this trying to say? You know, is there validity here in this fear? Let's work this out. And then I kind of work it out. I do my journaling work. I work it out. Mm-hmm. And then I guide it more as intuition. And doing that and nurturing that, I find it more of a guidance system, and it doesn't take me down. And I don't go into anxiety. So important. I love that you bring up intuition in this case, because there's so much current research coming out about intuition and how all the validity behind these feelings that we have. Right. But you're so right, using it as that sort of tool. Yes. And then doing that critical evaluation. Yeah, seeing if there is a reason for it, or is it past fears coming up, or is it just running anxiety, and actually taking the time to work it out, it loses its grip on you. Yeah. And if there is something, you know, there to be afraid of, then you go into action. Yes. And you make a plan. Yeah, you can move forward quicker because you have been more responsive. Right, exactly. And you've been more present with it. Right. I love it. Good point. The final thing I want to talk about on this great International Women's Day we have here today is this viral photo that's going around. I'm not sure if you've seen it, but it's of a woman who was just diagnosed with breast cancer, and she's sharing her photo because it's showing a very simple sign that most people don't consider to be a sign of breast cancer. And it's have you seen this? Mm-mm. It's the dimpling of the skin. Basically, she noticed that in the mirror there was a dimpling of her skin on her breast tissue. What? Yeah, and she went and got it checked out, and she then did a self-exam and noticed that there was a little lump there. Went and got it checked out, and it was breast cancer. So but isn't this going to cause an issue with cellulite? Like, what kind of dimpling? Well, this is the thing. She didn't have it before, and then quite quickly it seemed to appear. And the reason that happens is because certain tumors, whether benign or cancerous, will tighten the skin in the area and pull it in, right? Like fibrous tissue under the dermis will pull in the skin, and you can see a visual change. Oh. So it was something to. It's very interesting because people are sharing it because they haven't heard of it before. Yeah, that's great. But it's not something to be alarmed about if you've seen this area forever and you do self-exams and there doesn't seem to be a problem. It just seems like the same tissue you've always felt. But in this case, I think it's really helpful to share this type of thing because women are becoming learning about a symptom that maybe they didn't think of before. I think where the self-exams become really confusing is for women like myself that have really fibrous breasts. And I have fibrous tissue anyway.
You know that about me. When I get inflamed, I have fibrous tissues no
Right.
matter what. So I find it very confusing, like, to know all the lumps and bumps that are going on with my breasts, because that's where I need an outside opinion, because it's
Definitely.
it's just natural. My breasts are very fibrous.
Yes, for sure, and that happens so frequently. But it's important to know yourself, and when there is a change, you would notice a difference, most likely.
Yeah.
Just because of the way that the lumps feel.
Right.
They're normally different than just a fibrocystic breast.
Okay.
But yeah, it is. There are so many varieties of tissue differences.
Yeah, there is.
Sometimes
we talk like it's just so simple and black and white.
Yeah.
And I think that's a misconception too, especially with maybe men talking so much about it. Because
exactly.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
You know, it's like in my family, look, it's just not that simple.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but fibrous tissue normally movable. There are differences. Like, so if you feel a lump, it's usually going to be quite hard. Soft edges. Or, I mean, it could be jagged, but it's going to feel different than your current fibrous tissue.
Right.
And sometimes you can see inflammation. In this case, dimpling.
Wow, that's really great that she's using her situation to inform people. That's really powerful. No, I haven't seen it. I'll have to look.
Oh, you'll see it eventually.
Like I said,
just yesterday.
My social media is just so watered down now.
Yeah.
I don't have any.
No, it's great. It's great.
I don't have any popular news.
And mine is just full of it.
Well, this is how we stay informed.
Yeah, exactly. That's how we stay informed.
Through you.
So true. Well, I'd just like to say Happy International Women's Day to all the women out there. And I thank you so much for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio.
Yes,
and have a great day.
See you.
Healthy Rebel Radio is presented by the online health and wellness center, DamiHealth.com. Since 2009, Amy Lane has successfully coached thousands of women through her signature program, the Bikini Body Program. Join today to work exclusively with Amy to unveil your greatest yet to be from the inside out. Go to DamiHealth.com for more information.
Thank you for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio. Please connect with us on our community pages on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, all at the handle @DamiHealth. For weekly recipes, articles, and all our episodes straight to your inbox, join our newsletter at DamiHealth.com. You can find all the links discussed in today's episode in the show notes. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow.